Welcome to WrestleDope on justin.tv/WrestleDope and also on youtube.com/TheWrestleDope. To the right of me here you can see the justin.tv channel, and that is where we've been joined by our live chatters. We'll be taking their comments throughout the night and also taking Skype calls, video or audio. If you're not watching us live, you can add us to Skype and the username is WrestleDope. During those Sunday programs, 9 GMT, 4 Eastern and 1 Pacific, you can call us live and talk wrestling.
Indeed you can. As you can all see, we've left our home, well, our short-term home that was live stream, and come back to the rockin' home of Justin.tv. So thanks for jumping ship back to where we did begin, and hopefully we can stay here if we don't have any hassle from Stamford, Connecticut.
Now, WWE Monday Night Raw had a lot to prove following that incredible SummerSlam pay-per-view that was filled with surprises. We sat here on Justin.tv, as we always do, for those WWE pay-per-views, giving our thoughts on the matches as they went out live. And indeed, that surprise at the end, the finish of the John Cena v CM Punk match, it certainly had people talking in our live chat room. We had over 150 viewers at any one time, and maybe about 1,000 in over the night. It certainly was a big pay-per-view that had a lot of people wondering what was coming next on Raw.
Strong pay-per-view, I think. Good adding, and a nice follow-up to Money in the Bank, which was going to be tough to follow, I think, no matter what the circumstances were. But a good effort again by the E and everybody involved, especially Orton and Christian and Kelly and good old Beth Phoenix there, putting on a terrific match as well, representing the Divas in true style. So yeah, it's been good. The fallout this week, on the other hand, a little bit on the quiet side, but I'm sure we have enough to discuss to tie us over for an hour or two. And I think I'll turn it to you for topics of the week.
You know, I did notice the fall off that went on the next night on Raw. You were waiting for this Kevin Nash Diesel thing to be the next coming, the next storyline that would continue the CM Punk angle. But CM Punk was kind of left a little bit on his own. He did cut a promo to Kevin Nash, and we will talk in detail about Nash's return and our thoughts on that. But CM Punk is where I think we should start, because this guy went into SummerSlam building a huge angle, and he was a guy who subsequently then has, I feel, been let down. Now, it's only been a night. We've only seen him on the Raw program one night after that SummerSlam. I'll wait to see what happens week on week. But, you know, have him come out cutting promos to Diesel. Is this an upcoming feud now? CM Punk v Kevin Nash? Because it was good to hear the back and forth. You heard Kevin Nash rightfully telling Punk that you need to get to the gym and get a clue. Now, I love that bit.
Well, I think Nash, to be honest, is a lucky son of a bitch to be put back in on a position like that. If he wasn't friends with Trips, I'm sure that wouldn't have happened so quickly. You know, the interaction between the two was entertaining, I think, for the most part. Nash, you know, definitely is buried in the past, big time, with a lot of that stuff. You know, actually, so much so that it was actually cringeworthy at times. But, you know, he picked it up towards the end and kind of got back in the flow of the modern day promos. And, you know, I think even Punk was trying to hold back those smirks from the first couple of minutes of Nash's returns with his promo. But a bit dated overall, I think, still, you know, a bit dated. It'll be interesting to see how he is going forward with this whole thing.
I was thinking on the night of SummerSlam, what a buzz it must have been for Kevin Nash to suddenly be given this chance, go on out and face those WWE cameras, and automatically then you're all over the world. You're being talked about again by internet wrestling fans and people who just watch the product. It kind of amazed me, because that's all you have to do. Throw a guy back in a WWE spotlight where he once triumphed, if you like, as the former WWF champion that he was. All they really need to do is just fire him on, and immediately his character forms again. We remember who he is, And I just think that was an amazing thing, and it reminds me that even if you've gone to TNA and sort of buried yourself there, somebody like a Flair can come back to the WWE spotlight, and once again that spotlight will shine favourably on the guy, where unlike TNA they tend to just make all sorts of crazy decisions. Already as well, I've noticed with Nash, you don't see him stumble out over the entranceway or through the crowd. They're hiding the bottom part of the guy because of course he does have some injuries regarding his legs. Now, to protect him is so important if we're going to believe that he's tough and worth having a feud with Punk. By the way, do you think that is what they're going to do now?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he actually gets in the ring, for a one-on-one match. He is a lucky mofo. There's no doubt about it for him to step back into that picture. With Punk, although he's kind of, I suppose you said, fallen out of things a little bit with the championship situation, still with this whole situation, it's probably the most talked about one at the moment. Kind of reminds me in a weird way, I don't know why, but of the who did it with the Mr. Burns deal in The Simpsons, where nobody still really knows who is behind the whole Nash thing, and they should drag it out a bit. It kind of makes it interesting and intriguing for everybody. So in that sense, it's probably good that Punk's still in the biggest storyline of both the shows.
That's right, he is sort of simmering, if you like. Maybe this is just a kind of a temporary, right, well, he's sold a massive pay-per-view, we get it now, we can do things with a guy like Punk, but I did have to mark for Nash, a guy with legit and genuine size, saying to Punk, after of course Punk shooted on him a little bit and told him he was a has-been or whatever he said, he did kind of, to me, he spoke for me as a fan, Nash did, when he said that, go to the gym, get a clue, etc. I really started to feel that more and more with someone like Punk, purely for the in-ring stuff. He's great in-ring, but why, for some reason, I'm conditioned as a WWE fan to kind of want that size. This is a perfect match because it's almost like the old school versus the new. Can you see this as being Night of Champions? Kevin Nash couldn't really work that well back in the TNA days, but what this reminded me of too was that kind of that thing that developed between Samoa Joe and Kevin Nash in their time at TNA, where of course you had Nash being shooted on in the same way when Joe got that live pay-per-view mic. Maybe they're trying to resurrect something like this again. Maybe even Nash could bring Joe in. Maybe he's a guy who'll support him and stooge for him a bit backstage.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. I don't know what his situation is with TNA, but it'd be a good move for the E to take him and do something constructive with him, unlike TNA, although they did for a little bit, but it was short-lived. I don't know if they're going to let Nash back in the ring. I don't know if he's. I know they've put the black hair back on. Well, they haven't put the black hair on him, but he's, went out and bought his Just for Men and whatever. That's all well and good, but I don't think physically, I think he still looks like, the age he is. And for him to get back in the ring, I don't know if that's something they're going to do with him. But again, it's the kind of thing, if they're putting this much focus on him, then why not? I suppose it would be stupid not to,
Wasn't it such a flashback, a blast from the past? How is it possible that the two of us were sitting here watching a live SummerSlam, seeing Diesel return? I mean, they do sometimes give you fan moments. Those are the things that a guy like Triple H knows makes our age group mark. The younger audience aren't going to really have much of a clue as to who he is, but I also liked how he mentioned his appearance at the Rumble, which I actually had to remind myself, right, it's now August, that was January, that was ages ago. And they really did well to kind of say, right, we see the pop he's after getting, now let's put him completely dark again, and then when we do actually unveil him again, he will actually be a shock to people.
The pop wasn't that big though, I will say, on Monday night when he came out, and I'll tell you one thing, he was a bit of a nervous wreck for the most part. You could definitely tell he was a bit nervous, as you would be, I suppose, a live Raw after how many years, when you got a mic in your hand, as they say. What do they call it these days? The pipe bomb, as we refer to.
Of course, the insider term, that's it. To me, as you said there about Nash and returning to the screens, like I say, it's just a source of fascination for me that all it takes is to be thrown back on and you're part of the story again. A guy who hasn't been seen, who basically, one word from the commentary team, you know it's Nash, and it just amazes me. But did he feel that? And I was thinking if we had a chance to even talk to the guy, interview him, that's probably what I'd ask is, after all these years, do you actually still get a buzz of excitement? Is it different, for example, from walking out into the impact zone, and then coming out to a Raw?
Probably is. I can imagine it is.
Do you think he's even still kind of like, oh, it's just another wrestling show?
Oh no, I'm sure. Football game. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, yeah. It has to be. It has to be. You can tell. I mean, even from crowd reaction, the last Impact I watched, I'll tell you one thing, they're still pumping those feeds of cheers and boos and stuff in. It was fucking terrible. Terrible stuff. So, in that sense, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he was thriving off it. Like the Rumble as well.
I read an article here, and this is Mac Attack 90 saying this, suggesting Team Triple H, Nash, etc. versus Team Punk, Colt Cabana, Kings of Wrestling, etc. for Survivor Series. We were talking dream match stuff there, and to kind of push a Ring of Honor angle with Kevin Nash in there somehow. It's actually a great way of getting it there. Have they watched TNA? Did they see him as the kind of, was it the paparazzi guy who kind of had cameras and sent all these kind of X Division guys like Sanjay Dutt out filming stuff? He was involved in a kind of an angle as an old school guy teaching these younger guys how to work. It could work perfectly. I think that would just be gold to me.
Yeah, it's there's going to be so many rumours with all this stuff going forward, but I suppose in an ideal world something like that would be pretty cool. I think we're getting there though. Things are definitely picking up.
We certainly are, because as I say, I've felt like the Attitude Era has gradually come back. Now you see Stephanie on screen, it reminds you of those times. Of course Triple H as well. Everything is a bit more maybe different than it has been in the last 2-3 years. It's all been a bit of a conveyor belt for a while, and it just means something to me when you have those key characters. They have to be thinking it's a good time to bring Stephanie, Triple H, a guy like Diesel back. Is it a renewed effort as a part of a kind of a creative overhaul? I think the hope would be that it would be, and that now they feel like they can actually do something. I have to put them over as well for the fact that, again, like Nash being kept off for months and months after his debut, they could have put Stephanie on 2 years ago, but they didn't. They decided, let's hold off. And of course TNA, they get anybody signed, we've got to throw them all on. They have to be on every week,
That's a great point. I think timing wise now is perfect for Stephanie to come back on, and especially bringing guys like Laurinaitis out there as well. Not having a Vince around, I mean, Triple H is Triple H and he's doing a decent job or whatever, but you do need somebody like a Laurinaitis. I think is a perfect replacement for a Vince for the time being, and with Stephanie as well, and the endless possibilities they can go on with just the three of them, and with Nash, I suppose. Yeah, it's perfect timing for her to be back in the fold.
It is absolutely. Of course, we are reading the live comments here in our justin.tv/WrestleDope Radio chat room. You can also find us 24/7 on livestream.com/WrestleDope. Just a non-stop collection of some of the stuff that we have on YouTube. But as I say, people joining us here live now. FireSoul86, we've gone so long watching such a stale product that when they finally come up with something good, we blow it out of proportion as if it's the best thing that ever happened. And I have to say, I do understand. I do kind of, in a sense, go like that a bit as well. But like you say, it's so stale a lot of times. Even if we're enjoying matches as they go by, we might not like the overall arc or vice versa. But I think with this kind of an arc with a Stephanie and a Triple H, we know they have at least got some serious intentions behind it. I mean, they wouldn't throw themselves on there unless this was going to be a program we can get excited about and actually enjoy.
That's the thing about the E, I think, as well, that they've done best and why they've lasted the test of time, is if you were to get everything you wanted, being a fan, all the time, if you want a Kings of Wrestling in the ring as a tag team, if you want this angle to work and him to be champ, and they do it, then what's there left to enjoy when stuff does happen? I think that's the whole key to its success, that those moments become special. And even though, yeah, it's kind of a change in the current or whatever, I think it definitely has been a lot better the last couple of weeks than it has in the last couple of years recently, probably since we've been on the air anyway, for sure.
Yeah, it's changed, and they've heard the cries from their audience that's still watching them. It's 9 o'clock at night when this is on in the US. That's a late time slot. It didn't ever make sense. I know these things are repeated at 12 in the day and 1 and stuff, but edit it for those audience, and they do cut out chair shots of any kind and various things where they'll cut away to the audience, but I think they finally figured out that they can keep us entertained with the characters we recognise. I know that doesn't say much for introducing new characters, but I think that's always going to be an ongoing problem. People like Triple H, Taker, of course Michaels, people like Edge as well, even the Hardys, of course they've gone a different direction, which we might talk about, but everybody who knows WWE knows those names. And what era do they remember them from? Probably 2000, 2001. Unfortunately, they have a lot to do to get past that. Even Nash actually fought off What Chance this week. What Chance.
He did well.
He must have been annoyed about that.
I wonder why they dropped the Diesel name. I mean, I'm sure... Do you reckon it was probably him going, look, I mean, everybody knows I'm Kevin Nash or whatever, and the Diesel thing, at the time might have worked, but it is 2011. Being him, he probably got away with it. Tripp said, yeah, fuck it, look, let's scrap the Diesel thing.
Yeah.
After Rumble, he was referred to as Diesel, though, wasn't he? And they used the Diesel music, right?
They did. He was referred to as Diesel. Maybe they were just like...
That's probably shoot from Vince as well.
Probably. Let's not bring back that particular character. Do you think maybe Triple H is thinking, now we've got Kevin Nash in, maybe Michaels might be interested, and Scott Hall...
X-Pac would probably be the next one in line, for sure.
That's it. Actually, stay
away from the other stuff.
That was a huge possibility, isn't it?
Yeah. It would be kind of funny to see him. I kind of like him, to be honest with you. I've come to like X-Pac, to be honest with you.
I've heard him on a few podcasts.
He's a funny guy.
He certainly isn't an asshole. You can tell he'd be just a normal guy if you met him. Now, Fire Soul 86, it's a great storyline, don't get me wrong. I'm just a bit skeptical as they have blown so many potentially good angles.
That's true. That is true.
That's right. I think back to... a lot of the recent angles were bad to begin with, weren't they? So even if they work out bad, you kind of expected it to be that way. The one that comes straight to mind, for some reason, was that whole McMahon in the barber chair, WrestleMania, Umaga versus Bobby Lashley. I remember starting off that feud with so much hope. This is Vince's WrestleMania appearance. This is the kind of celebrity match where you put in a guy you can't wrestle. I was excited for that one, and it turned out awful. So I get what you're saying. The one thing, of course, that will always stick in my mind as well was that limo, McMahon's limo being blown up.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately what happened with Benoit, leading to no conclusion. Now, how would they have gotten out of that?
I know.
I'm
sure.
My favourite storyline.
I know. Sure. What can you do? And what about the time when the Titantron fell down on him as well? Not to rule that one out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he's been kind of killed a couple of times at this stage.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking of the McMahon blowing up angle, because would I even be as kayfabe now? If that happened now, do you think with maybe continuous 4 or 5 years or whatever,
shouting "Oh my God" at 2 a.m?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'd wonder would it still be as interesting now? But wow, that was a huge thing. I hope they can do exactly that at least with this Kevin Nash thing, to bring it somewhere where we're genuinely shocked at the end. I didn't see that happening. I can't believe it. They started off well.
Let's talk for a second maybe about possible options that you'd like to see with this whole thing. I mean, we kind of had a bit of speculation post SummerSlam on the little recap we did after the pay-per-view as to what could potentially go down. And a lot of people have speculated from then until now what they thought. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I'm sticking with Steph as my golden ticket with this one.
I believe you're right, and I kind of heard about Raw before I saw it, and I expected a bigger Stephanie role. She just kind of appeared for a minute and did that look onto the camera again, but that look sells for me.
Yeah.
It sells what's promising about an angle that could go really far. I think what we thought maybe coming up to the end of SummerSlam was that Nash was going to be revealed as Del Rio's enforcer,
Yeah.
if you like, to take over for Brodus Clay. Now I fully believe that that could have been possible. Maybe they were watching the Stamford HQ, were watching us here, and maybe they thought, well, maybe we might not do that, or maybe not at all. But I think ultimately where I'd like to see it go would be somewhere, I think bringing McMahon back. You know, I know it seems like he's just been there, but use it as a long-winded device to get McMahon on WrestleMania. It's just not Mania for me if he's not on it.
Yeah. No, he's always good to have around. What I kind of thought might be quite fun is somebody like that's, I mean, a little bit rolled off like Drew. Give him that big time push, you know. Have him be the guy that had Nash hired out. Put him straight into the main event picture.
Yeah, he certainly
It's never going to happen, but
we can dream. It's often so hard, isn't it, to kind of come up with what you think they should do, but in general, you don't really have to have a firm storyline in your mind. For me, it's just have Triple H, Stephanie and Laurinaitis be regularly involved in the program. That's all I need. You can think about how, you know, they can go on about how they're going to write it and script it, but let them do that. But just put those characters on, and I suppose I'll expect what I get. I'll get what I expect, but really it would be a lot with Stephanie in particular, because I mean she's certainly somebody who could somehow work matches. Are they going to bring her back to a kind of a diva role? To have her replace Vicky, that's perfect.
she's very natural, you know, in fairness to her. Like, that's one thing about Laurinaitis, I will say, from what I've seen of the TV stuff, pay-per-view and Raw, he's very rigid and very overly, I'm going to say unconfident in his deliverance on screen. But at the same time, if anyone's seen those .com videos that I keep banging on about, the natural stuff is there. I don't know if he can tap into that on screen or why he can for whatever reason, but I'd like to see more of the natural, that's who he is kind of deal on TV. I think he's just trying a little bit too hard, or maybe it's the nerves kicking in on a live camera. But either way, I think a bit more of the natural stuff from Laurinaitis going forward would be good.
Wasn't Laurinaitis in the Dynamic Dudes? Was that the tag team?
Yeah, or is it the Dude Bust? No, maybe it was the Dynamic Dudes.
Because somebody mentioned about the surfboard and stuff. I think it was
skateboards and shit.
the skateboard. I bet you it was the Dynamic Dudes. I remember seeing them actually in a TV taping. It wasn't back then. It was only a few weeks ago, probably here on Justin. And they were quite funny. I'd say probably buried by the time he had to go to Japan. You know, they talk about his career in Japan like it was a triumph, and you know he went over there probably to take over Japan, but I think it's because he didn't really have much of a selling power here, perhaps, especially after the Dynamic Dudes and Sonic Akuma backing that up. I wonder were there any inspiration for the Dude Busters? I mean, it's possible, maybe.
A revamp, yeah.
Sonic Akuma says the McMahon limo explosion storyline was changed due to the Benoit tragedy, and Captain Charisma, I want Regal to manage Barrett. Vicky should have left the WWE in 2006. Sonic Akuma, I prefer Steph in a corporate role. It's in her bloodline. Captain Charisma, I want her in a bikini. And also Fire Soul 86. He had a great match with Ken Shamrock on Raw in 98 IC tournament final. I think talking about X-Pac. Yeah. That sounds like a dream match, actually.
Yeah, I wonder if I'm sure he could still probably go in the ring.
Absolutely.
Probably be on a different plane if he's still acting like he was, but I'm sure they wouldn't even let him in the ring if he's in that kind of condition though.
Absolutely. Now tonight, of course, we will take Skype calls, and actually the sooner the better for that. We're going to fire on Skype and hopefully get your thoughts maybe on a few things, possibly SummerSlam and where they're going with this next Night of Champions pay-per-view. I'm not sure, can we do predictions on that? I think one match was called, but
what is the match called?
I forget, but I know thinking there was, well, it actually leads us on nicely. Cena Del Rio. I think that's where they might be going.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Mark Henry and Orton would probably beat
That's
two.
it.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
So yeah, ADR and Cena. What can you say about it, really? Doesn't excite me too much. I have no reason to really get too excited about that one. I'm loving Alberto Del Rio though.
Yes.
I think him as champ is golden stuff. I think they can drag the arse out of that one big time. Good fun.
Absolutely, they should drag the arse out of it, if you like, because it's worth it, I think. With Del Rio, though, I just have this constant fear that he's not considered, again, a legit champion. Like, there was a little bit
quick
of...
rise, alright.
It was quick, wasn't it? And, of course, you kind of have a situation where they can do this stuff at the end of pay-per-views. It doesn't matter that it's SummerSlam. I think there was a time, maybe, where a SummerSlam main event finish wouldn't end with any of that crazy disqualification or this hap. Maybe it did in the past, but I remember solid, clean finishes on those money pay-per-views. Maybe I've got a short memory, but you can add us.
You'd be right.
Do you think that's what they used to
that'd be
treat
fair,
them a bit better?
Absolutely, yeah. People would feel, for that exact reason, one of the big four, they'd feel robbed, or why did I pay whatever if you were paying it in the States for a pay-per-view, or even here, paying through Skybox Office. Was it Skybox Office we watched it on that night?
That's right, yes.
Paying the big bucks for that stuff, you would feel cheated if you were that way inclined when it comes to wrestling, but, I suppose shit happens at the end of the day as well, so... what are you going to do about it? But I will say, Alberto Del Rio this week, for the first time ever actually, I took notice of his wrestling skills. Would you believe that? Wrestling skills, and he's got some. He's kind of he's got kind of like he does like some crazy spots that you just don't see many people doing, like that armbar move from the second rope. I don't know what the hell you call it, but it's not something you see too often, He's just kind of got these strange moves.
He's almost a guy... there's a guy who fits into a certain bracket for me where the character and the on-screen persona, in a sense, can distract you from what they actually do in the ring. And sometimes those guys, when, as you say, you look closer, I've done that with the odd guy where you just want to see what does this guy actually do in there, because I don't think I've paid enough attention. But like I say, of course, commentary don't draw attention to what moves are these days, and they only really talk about Cole. Actually redressing that a bit this week, I have to say, though. But otherwise, I think what you're saying is true, that Del Rio doesn't have the most incredible ring ability. He's not... So I suppose it's what you're looking for, isn't it? Some people would say he's kind of a bit old school. He is a bit old school, isn't he?
He is. And he's quite technical as well, but he's very... he's a good mat wrestler. I know it's one thing we never really talk about is wrestling, actual wrestling, which is kind of strange. But he's a good mat wrestler, and that match he had with Daniel Bryan, I mean, you couldn't have asked, I suppose, for a better mat wrestler to be in the ring with. Maybe Daniel Bryan brought out the best in him. Maybe that's what it was, because sometimes when he's in there with a Kofi or whatever, Kofi's just flying around the place as he does, and I'm sure with a guy like Del Rio, there's only so much you can do. But for a guy that had such... I suppose storied, no, that'd be the wrong word. Decent. That's a good word. A couple of years in Mexico, and everyone said as Dos Caras or whatever that he was legit, and he was one of the best down there. And I think that's why when he came up, I was kind of excited to see just what it was all about. And then when I did see the first couple of weeks, I was like, that isn't too good. Maybe I was expecting some sort of Sin Cara kind of a deal, him flying around the place like some crazy serial killer or something.
Still waiting on Sin Cara v Sin Cara. I know that at some point they're going to get round to that. Do you think it's possible, or am I just dreaming about Sin Cara v Sin Cara? It's so Mortal Kombat.
It would be quite funny. It would be quite funny, Who knows? The guy who's filling in from was pretty decent this week, in that over the top kind of deal.
Yes, of course.
Battle Royale.
I mark for those battle royales. Now, I think it was actually a high spot of SmackDown to see something like that go on. I always like to see the pairings that they come up with and who decides to work with who in that situation, because it can be
and I
funny.
did a good job in there actually this week. Very good.
Yeah,
I think he was actually better than. Well, he certainly could do everything that Sin Cara could do for the most part, and a lot more safe for this week, I will say. But anyway, we'll get to SmackDown later on.
Of course, now Skype is open from this point forward. Now, don't be at all hesitant if you are somebody who likes to call us, if you want to get in touch with us tonight. I can't see Matty P&O. I hope he's not over on live stream, wondering, in fact, where we are. We might have a look over there. Maybe Captain, if you can have perhaps a look over at that chat room.
Send out the Captain.
Yeah, we've kind of moved from live stream. A good service. It still will exist. 24/7 Wrestle Dope. And indeed, that is hopefully the kind of thing that you can find on there. Maybe some more content at some point on livestream.com/WrestleDope. But for the moment, to keep it to justin.tv/WrestleDope and that's where we'll be live every Sunday. So now joining us on Skype, I think we have Sonic. Sonic, are you there with us? Hello? Can't actually hear. Let me just try and...
Good evening, guys.
Yes, we have you, and I believe we are just about sorting out... We're getting that video connecting through as well. How are you? How are you this fine... Is it a fine Sunday where you are? I think in Virginia?
It was a lot better than yesterday. Now we're on a thunderstorm warning.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
You can't do much about that. Now, last week, I think you were in with us here for the SummerSlam live discussion. What an incredible finish to SummerSlam.
Okay, but before we get there, did you get the breaking news that Matt Hardy just got released from TNA?
Yes, shocking. Of course, to do with a DUI, we hear.
Yeah.
Some people have started calling him.
I was more expecting Jeff to be released.
Yes.
Were you up in the Carolinas with him last night, Sonic?
Oh, no, somebody just gave me the news.
Yeah, well, that's what happens, I suppose, when you mix the two. It's never going to be a good outcome, I'm sure. I heard it was a Corvette he rode off, was it?
Yeah, Angle got multiple DUIs. And he's still working for the company.
Yeah, you'd wonder how some get away with it like that. How do they manage to? Now, what was it exactly? It was a drunken under the influence for Matt Hardy, and this happened. He was driving at some part of the US, I believe. Was he? I've just read recently about this.
It was in North Carolina.
Right, his old stomping grounds.
I heard he wrapped it around a tree. Is that right?
No, I think police just pulled him over. And he felt sobriety test.
Wow.
Oh, I heard that he wrapped that Corvette around a tree or something, and he wasn't in the best of shape. It shows sources here in the HQ. We'll have to fire a few interns, definitely.
Absolutely. A lot of people calling him, Meth Hardy is the nickname that I think he's developed. But, of course, the Hardys, I think at this stage, people have lost a lot of faith in them. And can you ever see Jeff and Matt coming back to the WWE?
I'll see Jeff gets his shit together. He'll be back in the WWE.
Yeah.
Matt, he won't be back in either be in Ring of Honor, be in Mexico or Japan.
Mexico, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'd imagine Mexico would be a likely place, wouldn't it? Again, I still haven't watched too much Mexican wrestling. But again, to SummerSlam now, of course, Diesel returned, and we had a very strange finish during that CM Punk John Cena match. That's after leading to Del Rio as champion. Your thoughts on that whole finish Kevin Nash debacle?
Where did I start? Like I was looking at a live feed elsewhere on top of it, looking at you guys. That chat room was like they saying Punk is the real champion. Punk, lo and behold, Kevin Nash got in, and things got crazier with Del Rio walking away with the title. And they were flipping out over Del Rio. Or they would say Del Rio should have cashed in on John Cena.
How about this? If we put you in Columbo's boots here for a sec, who do you think is behind the whole thing with Nash?
Thinking Nash is misinterpreting Tripp's words, and thinking he's acting alone on it.
Of course, there was a lot of speculation about Del Rio that maybe Diesel would be the enforcer, which didn't happen. I was somewhat disappointed by that, but I did say earlier I found CM Punk seemed to have kind of lost a bit of momentum when he came back to Raw to kind of, shoot on Kevin Nash. Do you see a Kevin Nash CM Punk feud going forward, or do you think it's going to involve maybe a few more people?
Sorry. It's going... See a feud coming. I wouldn't see the match at Night of Champions, but we just see it in Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, there's plenty to come for Night of Champions. Maybe they need to build it for a few more weeks to make it a bit more legit. Were you happy to see Kevin Nash back? Did you start watching when he was champion or in and around that time?
You know my story. I was in and out of the product throughout the 90s.
I think a lot of people were more out with Kevin Nash, actually, in his era. It wasn't the most popular of eras of all time.
That's true.
He was kind of, he was known as Big Sexy, wasn't he?
It was a rough time.
That's during his second run in WCW.
And of course, even Vinny Vegas mentioned. I had to mark to that.
Yeah, and Oz as well, right?
Yeah.
Vinny Vegas,
Oz, Diesel, and Big Sexy.
That's exactly it.
Hey, Sonic, you like the direction things are going these days? Are you happy with the products? Well, what the E are churning out?
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's more entertaining. Now, of course, Stephanie as well. Do you think Stephanie's going to play a big part in the upcoming storylines? Or do you have any idea where maybe you think they are going with this? Do you think it's going to be a CM Punk storyline, or?
I'm seeing a husband and wife in multiple storylines, but not in the CM Punk storyline.
Yeah. There could be a lot of options there, couldn't there?
That's true. How about the Divas of Doom? What are your thoughts on the Divas of Doom?
Isn't it? The collaboration between Phoenix and Natalia. They are shaking things up.
Absolutely. I think it's a bad time.
They were going against. We're not They're not cute. They're not pretty. They're not attractive. They know how to back that up.
Yeah.
With brute force.
I think it kind of comes to a stage sometimes, I know we've said this many times, you've watched the product for too long when you can see the eventual outcome of, the Mega Powers explode, but the Divas of Doom explode, and sure, it'll probably be WrestleMania when it's, the two best in the company in the Divas division, I'm sure, go one-on-one.
A bit of a lay cool, aren't they, for this year?
Yeah, I suppose we need to have some sort of a deal like that, don't we? I kind of miss Michelle McCool. I grew to like her,
Float, but not like Lay Cool.
Well, they're different, but I suppose in a sense they kind of fill that role a bit. I think people are actually asking as well about Layla and where the hell she's gone. I hope she comes back soon.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that, actually.
Very well missed, I think. Maybe they decided to give her a bit of a break.
Thinking Layla got injured.
Right.
I'll tell you one thing, Oksana looks quite like Layla these days with her black hair.
Very different, yeah, without a doubt. And of course Natalia going all black as well, sort of backing up that heel thing too, and looks a lot better, I think. It looks like more of a character. So I suppose there's plenty of things to talk about upcoming. I mean, Night of Champions is the next pay-per-view. We're looking at maybe Alberto Del Rio and John Cena, and of course Randy Orton and Mark Henry. Now Orton and Mark Henry, that's an incredible feud.
It's going to get nasty, dirty, and violent between Orton and Henry.
Yeah, what a way to build someone like Mark Henry. It's been impressive, hasn't it, how they've been able to write him as an evil character. And do you believe the guy now? I mean, when you see him kind of...
I already know that he's a solid heel. If he has a champion, if he has the title, that adds heat.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't have put it better, actually, yeah,
That's true. Him winning that Battle Royal as well, I suppose, certainly does put the footprint down to say the focus is here. He is the heel for SmackDown. And Orton better watch his back.
On Del Rio versus Cena, going to say, I don't know if Cena's going to get the title back or not, but Del Rio cash in Money in the Bank, he shot up to the top of the power rankings.
Yeah, a good sign. And maybe a bit of support as well backstage. Are you happy that Del Rio has the belt this early?
It's a bittersweet feeling.
I know what you're saying. I know some fans are kind of hoping for a slow build, but I mean, in fairness, he did do a few things, I suppose, with the Rumble and also the various wins. But of course, now he's doing things like, going through people like Daniel Bryan. He really is the champion, actually. Maybe my kind of thought earlier about him not being as legit is incorrect, because he has the belt now, and he actually took Daniel Bryan apart there.
He's been funny, I'll tell you. He's been funny.
Sonic, we must move on, and we will talk to someone else on Skype. Again, very good to hear from you, and also great to have you on the video as well. So without a doubt, we'll hopefully speak with you again soon.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Take it easy.
Excellent. Good night there to Sonic. You can see him there on the video feed. Of course, Sonic joins us here on the channel on justin.tv/WrestleDope Radio, and we'll say good night to him for the night. And indeed, that's all it is really, just sharing thoughts with us, what we think, what you think, and kind of gives us a bit of a breather as well.
So if anybody else wants to call in, do feel free.
Indeed, I think we have lined up, two callers actually. I believe I'll just put this down here. And
oh, sweet.
Let's see if we can call Mac Attack, who we haven't heard from in a while. Was Mac Attack one of our moderators on Justin.tv of old? And not to worry about the webcam deal there. I think ours is currently occupied, so we will close that and say hello to Mac Attack. How are you?
Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a while.
Not too bad. How's the summer treating you up your way?
Huh? not too bad. You know, it's Irish weather. You never know what you're going to get with it.
Absolutely.
Not quite as nice up here as it seems in the background there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we look like we've been living it up in the old sunshine, but actually it's not too bad here now, weather-wise.
No, today was good. Today was good. It's remained pretty dry.
We can actually discuss weather with someone who's in the same time zone as us and not 2,000 miles away. But wow, it's been a while, and I know so many things have gone on since we've last spoken to you. I'm going to just throw it open to you. I mean, what stood out for you over these few weeks, product-wise?
Yeah, well, God, there's so much. It's hard to know where to begin, really. I suppose that the whole punk thing in general, you know, I haven't really, I haven't been speaking about that, but yeah, no, like you know, been a massive fan of Punk's work this last 6 weeks plus or however long it's been going on, you know, and really thought Money in the Bank, him and Cena, one of the best matches I think I've ever seen live, you know. And yeah, SummerSlam as well was decent show. You know, I didn't manage to see all of it, but I saw the Cena Punk match, and Kevin Nash. Who saw that one coming anyway?
I don't think any of us did, really. You know. Let me ask you, before Money in the Bank, I suppose, pre-Money in the Bank, but the storyline on Punk and Cena, was it just then that for you you started to pay attention to Punk, or would you have been a kind of casual fan or a fan at all, I suppose?
Yeah, I always liked Punk, you know. I always really liked his work. He just got for, you know, a year or more, he had nobody behind him. You could see it, you know, like his straight edge society stuff I think was really good, really underappreciated by the management, you know. Like I remember I think it was the Royal Rumble 2010, he was sort of doing that whole straight edge society
in the ring thing
gimmick, and yeah, and his promos were fantastic, you know. So yeah, I was really delighted to see him sort of be catapulted into the main event.
I have to hand it to him. He is certainly a great in-ring worker. I've noticed it consistently. He doesn't really have bad matches, if you like.
Yeah.
And he's got enough ring work that he can dazzle you and keep you watching the actual match, as well as the entertainment side of things being so strong. He can work storylines like no other. How do you think he's going to pan out from this point forward? You know, judging on last Raw and the whole Kevin Nash thing, what would be maybe your ideal situation with that, if you could write it?
It's hard to know. I'm a bit disappointed with the way it seems to be going. As in, he seems to already be out of the title picture. You know, I know he's due a rematch, but the focus now seems to be going back to John Cena and Del Rio. So in an ideal world, I suppose he'd either, you know, maybe for Night of Champions they could do a triple threat or something like that, maybe. But you know, I am happy to see where this Triple H versus Punk sort of feud goes. But I would have liked to have seen the WWE just give somebody other than Cena a sort of, make them the main focus of the show, you know. Like, it's, you know, back again, Cena's he's going to be chasing the title as per usual now. That's what it looks like anyway. And I think really Punk, they need to keep the focus on him, you know, because you can't rely on Cena forever, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a true point. I mean, for all the Cena haters out there, I'm sure they're not too happy to see him back in the title picture again, as you say, for the God knows how many times it is at this stage. How many times has he been champ now? 9, 10?
They never talk about that. And you know, with a guy like Edge, they'd say 10 time, 11 time. They don't really say that with Cena.
Yeah,
it's almost
gotta
like,
be up around there though, isn't it?
oh, easily, yeah, definitely.
But again, I suppose, he is the guy that does draw the money, and what else really are you going to do with him? He's got to be up on the top tier of storylines, and he is going to be for the foreseeable future, no matter what way you look at it, unless he gets injured, and even if they turn him heel, which is never going to happen probably at this stage, he still will be up on that thing. And maybe as a side story, I suppose it wouldn't be too bad if Punk and Trips or Punk and Nash, whatever was the main focus, and he's at the side doing whatever he needs to do with Del Rio or whoever it tends to be. I think things will be okay, but I'm sure he'll always be up around the top tier bracket, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I think the way they have it set up now is they have it set up in a sort of decent way, because I think they have Cena for the kids, that whole market, and I think they've Punk as another face, but more geared towards the sort of older audience, but hopefully they continue to push him, because as we've all seen before, they can drop the ball quite quickly, on angles. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
That's it. I mean, there is something for everybody, and everybody's got something, which is even more important. And I think if they keep the focus that way, things will be good.
So hopefully, because I know that they seem to recently, WWE seem to have a problem running two main sort of storylines at a time. They seem to. It's usually like the whole Nexus storyline. Whenever that was sort of at its peak, they couldn't really. There didn't seem to be any other feuds happening.
I'm glad you mentioned it. Yeah, because I was thinking that exact thing this week. That in a sense they like to just focus on that main event, and of course you have to sell that main event and make it interesting, so that in a sense we order the pay-per-view on the basis of that. But really, coming to ordering pay-per-views, I don't often look at that main event. I mean, it's all the other stuff, isn't it? You kind of expect the main event. You get it fed to
That's
you every
true.
week
Yeah.
on Raw. But it's true what you say. Two major things at once has not been the way for a while now.
Yeah.
You might have had a time maybe where SmackDown was less of a different brand, and something huge was going on there, something huge was going on Raw. And I suppose in terms of SmackDown now, we have Orton and Mark Henry, but of course, they don't have a huge amount of time to make that something big, if you like, in terms of angles.
I suppose, I mean, what's the other way you can look at it is somewhere like TNA that just constantly throws so much shit at the wall and tries to make so many storylines out of everything that sometimes last a week because for whatever reason, and sometimes even if they don't last a week, they last 6 months, that they get so clusterfucked that you don't even know what's going on with anyone. Is he still doing this? Is there still a Fortune? Or is there still Immortal? Where's the main event Mafia gone? It's just hectic at the best of times. Where in the E, they can have I don't know, like I suppose like a decent album, like a decent music album. You have your big singles and you have your backup tracks to kind of keep it solid and keep people entertained from start to finish. It's much the same as programming,
I have to ask, is Fortune still intact?
I haven't watched it in a couple of weeks. So
I don't know.
couldn't tell you.
Is Fortune still intact? Mac Attack, any idea on that?
Oh God, I couldn't tell you.
I tuned into it. Sorry to interrupt you.
TNA, but every time I tune in, it's this different factions taking over the company. This other different faction within that. It's just like you said, there's too much happening there. It's impossible to keep track.
Yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Every time you tune in, it opens up with Bischoff being surreptitiously filmed backstage talking to Abyss and Bully Ray, and actually he goes. Bully Ray is Eric Bischoff's go-to man right now. If something is going wrong, he's actually asking Bully Ray, help me out here. What's happened there? Bully Ray is on top. I don't know. I just can't speak for him.
It was actually, a chore to watch the last one I did there, whenever it was. I don't think I lasted.
Are they doing? I read they were doing was it Sting versus Flair again or something like. I mean, geez, how old are those? Like,
Friggin' hell.
Sting v Flair.
That's
you know.
amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe the
that wasn't that 1993 or something.
Capital
Like,
Combat or
Great
something
American
like that.
Bash or some crazy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Actually, I saw you kind of saying there that it wouldn't be a bad time to tune in again. You know, Flair v
Flair
Sting,
Sting.
just to see what they do. But as everybody says, why does he have to walk out of the entranceway bleeding? You know, it's almost like he just, grazes his head and he's bleeding. Don't have him bleed through this, and maybe just try and keep it Sting Flair as we remember it. Is Sting going crazy still?
Yeah.
Yeah, none of us
I
know.
don't Is he still the main? Is he still the main guy over there? I don't know that. Like, I don't know what a 52-year-old
Yeah.
as your main
Draw. Yeah.
There's so many problems with that crowd.
Last time I saw it, he was kicking up a fuss with the Joker deal with Bischoff and Hogan and a whole bunch of them in that backstage gimmick office that they have set up. That's the last thing I can remember about watching TNA.
Yeah.
So from there,
I thought to myself the other day, I can see a time now. People have talked about it since the day it started, but when it would actually be gone. I really can see it. I actually don't think would WWE buy that archive. I suppose it would be of some value, but probably they'd only take it at a low price. I wouldn't expect
probably get it at a low price.
at a low price. But it'd be great if TNA did actually go. We could use all that house show footage, stick up all that old
That's
footage.
true, yeah.
There'd be no one there to tell us to
Tell us
not
to
do
stop,
it,
yeah.
But I do foresee a time now where the money is run out and the Bischoff creative stuff is just no more. The only thing left for them, for me, would be to bring Heyman in and do a Heyman era, and then we're done. And
I don't even think that can rescue them, to be honest. I
Yeah.
just don't know.
yeah.
I think the only logical step really is to have Flair dress up as Batman. And that's all.
How about?
To be honest with you, I'd watch that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to
It's
say
gotta be more entertaining.
we could counter your Flair as Batman with Sting as RoboCop. We're reviving it all. Then we have it all covered, And I think that would do nicely. But Mac Attack, again, thank you for giving us a call. It's great to hear from you, and we're trying to build up this Skype again week on week. So as always, you're always welcome. Give us a call through any time you like, and indeed, it's great to hear from you.
Cheers, guys. Thanks
Have
for
a good
having
one.
me on.
Not a bother. Take it easy. Thanks for calling.
Excellent. That is Mac Attack, who of course is moderator here on that Justin.tv room. And good to have some Skype callers here tonight. Always nice to get them in nice and early. And there's still actually plenty to talk about as well. Now I believe we have one caller who added us at some point, I think last week.
Okay.
Now I think this person may be viewing, I don't know, but they have said hello. So I'm going to cold call. I think the cold call era is here. I mean, this person is probably going to say, who the hell? I mean, they'll know probably, but if they say who the hell, we'll cut off.
Oh, it's Irish.
I think it could be an Irish person. Let's find out who this is. But I believe Dennis. Let's see if Dennis answers. YouTube.com/TheWrestleDope. No answer there, but we will try Dennis again a little bit. Our Skype line's open.
What can you do? Yeah, not to worry. So if there's any other newbies, new folks, like Darren said, do call in. Do feel free. All the details are just up there, and you can add us and do all that sort of deal. There's some more gimmick over there that you can sort out if you haven't done already. Facebook and Twitter and all that jazz. WrestleDope.
Absolutely.
You can't miss us.
Indeed, just say hi to Dennis. Dennis, if you want, actually, I'll do some typing here, and let's try and see if anybody wants to come on here on Skype. As I say, still plenty to talk about, and just say hi, Dennis. Skype is open, and you can add us to Skype, even if you're watching it not live on YouTube. All 5 of you, you can do that by adding the username WrestleDope. And anytime we're on a Sunday, in fact, anytime during the week, if you see that account pop on, just send an IM, call, and maybe the next time we're on, we'll have you on. Of course, interviews as well.
Just gonna say it. I was just gonna say. Well, I'll talk about that once you do your typing there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Superstar interview series. There's going to be some serious announcements coming, folks. I think some ones that some of our hardcores will be seriously happy about, and some not so happy maybe, but you know, there's nothing really we can do about that, unfortunately. But yeah, coming up in the next couple of months, there will be a couple of months of a wait for these ones, but they will be worth it, as yeah, we're going to take it to some serious levels with this one in particular, and then certainly another one that will follow it shortly, and a couple more too.
Yeah, we're going to start it off slow, like some of those matches we see on WWE TV, taper off, but there are bigger things to come that there's no point saying anything about, because until they happen, we're not going to, you know, jinx them, if you like, but there are some things that could happen in the next couple of months that I think will be quite entertaining and quite shocking as well. So that's probably all about that. But in terms of superstar interviews, that's a lot closer. Now this time we want to get some of you guys on Skype video to ask questions. Of course, we've done that before. Some people had a chance to do that, an opportunity to be on one of our, well, most hard-earned videos, that Jericho interview. Took a lot of work to get that on. Of course, we gave some people the opportunity to be on that, and if you want to be on the next ones, all you've got to do is be Skype ready, particularly Captain Charisma Y2J. Now, we want Charisma on a webcam question.
I'd like to get them all on, all our writers. Mac Attack, Sonic, Maddie, everybody. Where's Dave Birmingham? Still lost in the shuffle somewhere, is he?
I'm going to go find Dave Birmingham now. I'm going to see his Dave Birmingham in the Livecast channel. But
He's
anyway,
probably busy with these Frank deals, is he?
he might be. But like I say, not even go on about it. But yeah, we do want to have people asking questions this time on Skype, and indeed, even if you can just have a webcam ready for, we'll let you know in good time, then it would be cool, because you'll be part of those videos, and that's certainly something we want to do,
Yeah, and some of these you'll actually want to be part of, They're not quite Doug Basham levels of superstars, but you will. I think you'll certainly want to be part of. I think more of a higher reign of superstar.
Yeah, that's right. It's exciting, actually, some of the talk we had earlier. It takes a while for these things to come together, but as I say, more frequent interviews are definitely coming, maybe even this week. Try and get those interviews out. So anyway, that's what we want to do, and of course, yeah, as you say, extend that invitation to everyone. Just, I know Charisma, he was almost ready for the last one. It was just a few weeks after we had the Skype, and like I say, the invitation goes to everybody. If you want to be on an interview where you're talking to a superstar, that video goes up to YouTube, and it goes into thousands.
God knows some of the jabronis that ended up on the Jericho one in the end. I'm going to shoot on them now because I can. But yeah, a couple of jabronis ended up on that one big time.
Well, listen, as I said, it was a hard-fought opportunity. It didn't come overnight. It didn't come by an email and a quick little ask here. It took a bit of effort, took a bit of work, actually, to get that Jericho thing working and for it all to happen. But anyway, I suppose we don't want to get too far on that. Remember, we're now unedited on YouTube, which is a blessing and a curse. It's probably also the reason why the channel got shut down last time, but we know all about that and exactly how it happened. No mystery to us whatsoever, and it wasn't WWE with DMCAs either. Well, it might have been, but it's the reason. Anyway, that's all very in talk. We've got more wrestling talk to come. A couple of viewers here in the live channel, and let's go to their comments, I think.
Okay.
And I know we've got a few.
Let's drive over here. So Charisma's saying that he hasn't really enjoyed wrestling since WrestleMania 20, but he still watches it. I mean, that's a fair enough point. That's quite a long time ago, though, in wrestling terms. So WrestleMania 20, what was even... my memory for these manias from like maybe 18, 19 to 22, 23 are completely blankage. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. If you asked me WrestleMania 21 main event, name 3 matches. Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle, was that just that year, or am I miles out? I don't actually know, and nor do I care. Anyway, some more comments. Mac Attack saying Dave's probably in Birmingham. Yeah, it's probably a good guess out of you.
I just looked for Dave, our moderator who's often come in, who is also a moderator on justin.tv/Frank Taylor's Livecast. I've always wanted, I believe you're famous on JTV. If you can get Frank to maybe put you on screen for a few seconds or give you a shout out. I looked at him there and he is on. He's live as always, 24/7 Livecast. There's no Dave Birmingham. But I think we're going to have to get Dave involved and see if he can get us maybe a little bit of a cross communication with Frank Taylor. I would love to do that because Frank is genuinely the king of this website.
It'd be amazing to do a Nitro invasion over there.
Well, of course, I won't even ask for it because, why would anyone want to take anyone else's channel over? Why would they? So I probably won't ask that. MacTac90, he's probably in Birmingham, you said that. Captain, I regret not being on the Jericho one. Well, I can tell you, we can get you in some really good ones to come.
Yeah, one in particular, we should give him first. What's that saying? First dibs. Is it a worldwide saying? Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
First dibs for you. So on that one, CC.
Captain Charisma, do you guys watch the Off the Ropes show? They liked your Jared interview. I don't watch them and I don't begrudge them. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they also get 5 times the views that we get. But yeah, I must check them out, and it's good to know they like that thing. There aren't, to be fair, there aren't that many people doing the 2-man YouTube thing that get interviews at all. So somehow we must be worth something,
Yeah.
Even though we get a handful of views these days, but
our stock value has gone up a little bit, I'm sure.
I said to you, we might as well get it all out there. I mean, it's wrestling science. Do you think that we sort of need that break off TV? Is it a territory thing where people get sick of the work, sick of the gimmick, or?
Well, it's a tough call. I mean, when you're looking at the 9 live viewers, you kind of might think, yeah, maybe it is a good idea, go back and reinvent the wheel a little bit. But then at the same time, I kind of like the small scale of it, the kind of cult status.
Yeah. We said it really early, probably a few weeks in, this is a cult thing. Do you remember saying that? And we kind of knew that it was going to have a certain amount. What I noticed searching YouTube, more wrestling talk in a minute, was that there's a hell of a lot of these 2-man shows, and they're for every subject under the sun, but wrestling in particular. I mean, there's an explosion now of these 2-man wrestling shows, and I mean, some of them are on for 2 months and they get 3,000 views per video.
But it's like you said, I mean, everyone's a photographer, everyone's a producer, everybody's a wrestling show host. So
they are, yeah.
No, it's true. It is true. What can you do? Only try to just keep doing what we're doing. I mean, like you say, there's some guys I've seen on there, and literally they're getting like 1,600 views, and it might have gone up 2 days ago, and they're talking about, why isn't Zack Ryder world champ or whatever,
And they comment boards lit up.
They're on their phones, basically.
Yeah.
Sitting in their mother's kitchen or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And their subscribers through the roof. I suppose it is, like you said, that over and back subscription thing.
There's a lot of that goes on. I think primarily people are coming on there for those type of blog videos, and the fact is they want them to be phone, cameras and things like that. That certainly draws, because I've seen the views there. But I think what happens is if they see things like a Jericho interview, a Jared interview, they then expect it to be almost, well, I mean, why is this on YouTube? Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of
jabroni straight away.
Yeah, it's not so much the blog video that they've come to look for, and I don't know. I often find some of the kind of produced content is the one that gets the least views. The proper production companies that stick their videos up, they get 1,000, and the kid with the webcam gets 160,000. And believe me, I've seen Survivor Series reviews with 160,000 views after 2 weeks.
Crazy.
So there is a market there somewhere, and I think the best thing about it for us, it comes back to the interviews. We get chances to do things like those Jerry Jarrett calls and what's coming up in the future. It makes it worth it, if anyone ever wondered why we bother.
Yeah, and that aside, we get to hang out in nice locations like this, unlike some of those peeps.
Fire Soul 86, you should try and get an interview with Jim Cornette. That would be awesome. I would love that. I've heard somebody asking about him who's on a podcast who said they tried to get in touch with him. A friend and a big wrestling superstar, he didn't get back to him.
Wow.
So I kind of thought maybe he wouldn't get back to us.
I'd say he's a tough one to pin down, to be honest. Very tough.
Definitely. Fire Soul, I put up a TNA lockdown review a while back, and up till now it's had 17 views. Actually, send us on that. I know you might not want to post it on the chat room, but if you can message us that, I'd love to see you. If you'd like to Skype in, you're one of our longest running viewers.
Yeah.
So
Put the link up if you want, I'm sure. But
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, throw it up. Time for more wrestling talk. Otunga and McGillicuddy coming back this
boy.
week. New clothing, new music, and new attitude. I think they're the most legit tag team that's currently in existence. I believe Otunga is the absolute aim for this entertainment-led WWE. This is the kind of guy they want. Somebody that has a celebrity connection, but that can also get them in the celebrity tabloids. Him and McGillicuddy, I don't know, I think they're doing big things.
Well, that music, I'll tell you one thing, is a bit on the naff side. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but they've blatantly robbed Demolition's finisher as well. That old,
Oh yeah,
the over the knee and,
Yeah.
and the elbow,
yeah.
which might be a nice tribute. Might be some bit of a rip on them, or maybe somebody in the office gave him the finisher. But either way, it works because Otunga, he is the big man, the muscle man, and he does look good coming off the rope with that elbow to any poor guy who's on the receiving end of it. But I don't know, as a legit tag team, it's still got the team up feel for me, I will say, until they give him a name.
Yeah.
They're always just going to be a team of.
I was thinking about things that could happen in the future. McGillicuddy and Otunga taking on Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase, babyface. Maybe babyface for Otunga, McGillicuddy, and the other guys remaining heel. Things like that are still fresh matchups. Even though we've had so much of Nexus sort of in a way rammed down our throat, we've been sick to death of them, and of course Otunga and stuff has stayed on Raw. He's not been off, but somehow for me, when he comes out with this new music and this new attitude, the gimmick has been refreshed. Mac Attack says McGillicuddy has completely reinvented himself. He now wears a hat. And, there are elements of that, but I think it was Otunga actually who's been finally cemented for me, because look at the guy. He actually could probably be, maybe it'll take a while, but maybe he'll be in a movie or two, even on the basis of being your one's Hudson's husband, whatever he is. But basically, if they're going to look for guys like that, he's the archetype, I think.
He definitely has that kind of look, doesn't he? That the film look and the E look as well. He's built like a brick shit house, that guy is.
I was going to say maybe in a non-speaking role.
Well, he's another Laurinaitis case, if you ask me. When he tries, he just sounds naff and it comes across terrible. And when he doesn't try, like the Raw guest host spot that he had, I thought he actually was really, really good, And after that whole episode, I was like, Jesus, this guy's got a bit of a future. Unfortunately, it didn't last too long. But, he's just got that. He goes into that Laurinaitis naffness that Jomo tends to do as well. I can't describe what it is, but maybe it's just too much of an effort for the live TV. I don't know, but maybe he might be a movie star going forward.
Yeah, it just struck me how a guy like him has been around for so long, and I've not gone bored. But it was time for this rework, and I think this tune now is much more Jim Johnston. Actually, Jim Johnston, by the way, I don't know, I'm sure you've noticed it, because I know we're both fans of the guy, and those tunes when they get changed around a bit, but there's been a lot of kind of rocky, almost classic Jim Johnston coming out. Now, I think initially of that, but what was the other one that was quite new?
You know what one I had stuck in my head? This is a crazy one. Big Zeke's...
oh, yeah, yeah.
What's it called? The
Domination?
Domination.
I have that MP3, yeah.
That's a great one, actually. I like that.
That was actually released, believe it or not, and
Had that one cranked up during the week walking around.
I think actually Jim Johnston has got a good chance this year going into the Hall of Fame. I hope so. You can check out our video on that on YouTube. Jim Johnston, Hall of Fame 2012, first inductee. A lot of people agreeing with us on that,
Yeah.
and kind of saying, yeah, definitely. you
By
know.
rights, yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I did a bit of a Google on that. People have asked before in years past.
Really?
Yeah, they've actually said it that they wanted him in there. But yeah, I was just kind of looking at both of those guys. Just some random thoughts now, I suppose, about the week. Another guy who I think has got a lot of potential is Heath Slater, who I've dubbed Heath Seeker. I'm sure it's not an original pun by me, but I looked at Heath Slater the other day, and I kind of said to myself, this is a guy that could legitimately get me angry with him just by being himself.
It's that voice, I think. It's the whole combination of everything, from the hair to the voice, and rolling with that one-man rock band. I mean, you know, we said before he's probably the furthest thing from that you could possibly imagine. You know, that story, was that true, that story about him and the whole WrestleMania deal? Did any more come of that?
Remind me.
I don't know if anyone read those reports. But we got some reports in here into the HQ about the sexual harassment case.
Who was that again?
Heath.
Oh yes,
Slater.
yes. There was some alleged stuff. We were
Yeah.
talking about that. I didn't hear any more
Yeah,
actually.
neither did I, so I'm not going to speculate any further on that one, but quite funny in a kind of a weird way.
It could be. It's a valid point because it actually could be quite damaging for the guy. And again, I look at a guy like Alex Riley, who survived amazingly that DUI there a few months ago. You'd forget that already. You know, I still remember that Mysterio was sort of out with the company, but I don't really think too much about Alex Riley, which again, it shows you if they have no business, we'll say, getting annoyed at you. It's almost like they look for these things, and when something like a DUI happens, if they want to get rid of a guy, there's their opportunity. It's very sneaky. You know, if a guy goes away for a little bit of time, bury him.
Fast track to a future endeavour, as they say. Yeah.
Definitely. But I definitely think the face, the hair, everything, maybe people might say it about myself, but he's a heat seeker, and I really believe that he could actually seriously make me be annoyed. You know, in the Jerry Jarrett interview, he talked about Cornette and about how Cornette, just being himself, sitting in the back office before he had ever become a character, actually encouraged Jarrett to put him on TV in a heel role because he
was driving him
inspired
nuts.
that feeling. Yeah.
As he said in words, he was driving him nuts. Whatever about Slater, I'm kind of confused as to how suddenly, and now correct me if I'm wrong with this, but is Justin Gabriel just full on babyface just like that without any explanation this week?
Oh yeah, that's true. He did actually
I
go
know they've been
babyface,
showing
yeah.
those videos from him going home to Africa and all that deal, but I mean, wasn't he just after coming out of the biggest heel faction in recent times with no explanation on that one? I suppose maybe they just want to drive Heath's way.
Exactly, yeah.
And Justin the other way. I think he'd be a good babyface. I'll tell you one thing though. Who was he fighting on SmackDown this week?
Tyson Kidd.
Tyson Kidd. Christ almighty. He didn't half make him work for that 450 at the end of the match, did he?
Oh,
It actually looked messy.
I'm glad you reminded me there, because I actually looked at the match and thought to myself, right, is this heel v heel? This is strange. And as you say, there was no real... I think it was just that he's been to South Africa, the fans loved him, so look, he's kind of babyface. That was his babyface turn.
They were running it for a couple of weeks, weren't they?
Yeah, they really went to town on it. And
that's probably the explanation there.
Definitely, I think so. So that's enough then. He's babyface now.
Yeah.
So that's how they kind of do things, I think, these days. But what can you say? For Soul 86, I heard Ron Simmons and Dean Malenko are likely to go into the Hall of Fame next year. I think Captain Charisma thinking that maybe Jim Johnston won't go in. It is a bit of a high expectation. I imagine the main barrier to getting him in would actually be him, because he's such a kind of a guy who goes backstage, stays there. Maybe he only ever is in the offices in Stamford. Wherever he's based, he's not heard of too much. So maybe he might say, look, I don't want to do that, or, you know.
It's a bit much, yeah.
Yeah, again, as everyone says, Pete Rose, and of course now Drew Carey.
Maybe many people, like you say, for that exact reason, just don't know of him, you know? I mean, or even for Vince, they might say, look, they need to be on-screen characters at least, or the public would have to be some bit familiar with them. I'm sure a lot of people do know Jim Johnston, but I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of people, probably more so, that don't know him, and maybe for those reasons alone, you know, it might not happen.
Absolutely.
I think Heath Slater, you know, could be a future world champion. I've said that in the past. If he doesn't get dropped, I think there's potential for that guy.
Absolutely, of course. Now, just to let you all know, we're officially back here on justin.tv/WrestleDope Radio. There is a solution at hand where it won't matter what site we're on, you're going to be able to find us. That's coming. We were discussing that, and we're going to talk about how we can get all those sites together, in a sense. And
testing that during the week, actually.
Any joy there?
Yeah, no, a couple of options, yeah.
Good.
Testing a couple of things with it.
Cool, because it kind of, in a sense, we can kind of have a central location where we don't have to worry about whether Justin thinks we're copyright and shuts us down or anything like that, so that you'll always know where we are. I know people like Dave and stuff have been lost over the course of the weeks. Good to see Justin Cornette back, actually. I'm not sure if Justin's still with us in the room, but I believe, Justin Cornette, Kid Kong 22, Sharpshooter, Sonic Akuma, Space 88, Stevie Beat, Captain Charisma, Mac Attack 90. I think that's all of our friends joining us. We were actually over on live stream there for a few weeks, but I think we had to come back here. As somebody said, you're totally lost on live stream. That's the one drawback. You can't find it even if it's on.
Yeah, I did discover that myself, yeah. No sign of us, unfortunately. You know, I'm going to bring back, I think you might do this as well, Superstar of the Week this week. I'm going to give big time props this week to Cody Rhodes. I will say he's come on leaps and bounds. I mean, ridiculously so. From his whole section with Orton, Cody, and poor Ted, who is a little lost in the fold. But, you know, I'm sure he'll get there eventually. I think what's probably going to happen there is he will probably turn on Cody and end up being babyface going forward. But Christ, Cody Rhodes is nailing it. I will say he's flooring it big time. I didn't even think he would ever have that in him. I will say that much. And he's really knocked it out of the park. I think Orton's even getting a bit of a kick out of it, by the looks of it as well. He's brought like a serious bit of decency back to the IC title as well. It makes it a little bit legit. I like when they wear the belts. I know it's the smallest thing.
Yeah.
It's the smallest thing, but really it just makes it all that bit more legit, as opposed to just firing it over your shoulder. I don't know why I'd wear it to the ring if I was champ, would you?
Oh yeah, I think of guys who maybe it interferes with their gimmick costumes. Morrison used to throw that tag belt over his shoulder, and Miz would wear it, didn't he? And it's almost like Morrison didn't want his jacket to be kind of upstaged or whatever he had planned. But do they tell them, right, you're going to have to wear it, you're going to have to do it over the shoulder or whatever they do? But yeah, no, it is a small point, but it's something you notice. It's like for me that when they go to Madison Square Garden, and you have the entranceway behind the ring. I hate that. If it's not coming from this side, it's not, or at least this side, it's not right. When they do it like that, it's little things like that, I suppose, annoy you. As we, chat to you here. As Space 88 says, the details make it, absolutely. And indeed, thank you for joining us here in the room, Space 88. Captain Charisma, Y2J, Slater being champ scares me. Kid Kong, Otunga is solid. I'm still waiting for Wade's title run. And Magtac says Rhodes is a classic, larger than life heel. I did kind of see him this week and kind of go,
Getting sick of it already?
Well, you talked about the DiBiase thing, and I was thinking about how, right, yeah, it is a babyface turn. We're hopefully going to see. It looked like that a few weeks ago. I'm for that, but I think DiBiase as a face will be weaker than ever. But as
Oh,
regards,
no, I totally
yeah,
agree
oh
with
yeah,
that,
but I suppose with Cody, it was the legacy reuniting was good. I will say that. And he is a legit IC champion. I can't complain. For me, again, it's that small, big guy syndrome.
Build, yeah.
It's a little bit, but it is IC territory. I mean, he's never going to be world champion, is he? Or,
Well, stranger things have
DiBiase,
happened.
you know.
DiBiase, yeah.
DiBiase could do it and say, look, he could bring $1 Million Man in and say, this is for my father who never got the world title, and my father's going to be in my corner now, WrestleMania next year.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got about as much charisma though as a bucket full of nails or something, I mean, that's what I liked, and that's why I think Cody for me is Superstar of the Week this week, because you can come out and you can do a Del Rio promo and kind of say the same thing as you do say every week. You can come out and you can do an Orton thing. I think Cody's constantly reinvented what he has done token-wise. He doesn't need to come out and do the bag thing, even though he has been doing it a lot. But he keeps the banter fresh and he keeps it entertaining. And the in-ring work is always very, very solid. He's not a bit sloppy, so I'm going to give big-time props to Cody actually this week for all of that. Deserved IC champion, future World Heavyweight champion, maybe not WWE champion going forward. I would like to think so. Again, that size, as you say, does factor in, even though sometimes you don't really think of it like that, but it does play a big part, doesn't it?
Keep up that Superstar of the Week, because that's your bit. I forget about it. I like the Superstar of the Week, because to highlight someone like that, sometimes you'll get to someone that isn't the obvious. I know when I'm talking to you about what I've seen, you'll have a totally different take on it. You'll have noticed different things and vice versa. So we'll keep it up with the Superstar of the Week, and your suggestions as well will be welcome in the chat room. We would certainly like to hear your Superstars of the Week. Kid Kong 22, people hate on Cole so much. He's a good heel announcer. Jerry is the bad one. I can't believe him as a face announcer, knowing how bad he is not being heel. Captain Charisma, don't put Cole and Morrison on the same show, because Cole won't stop saying the price of hardcore. And Captain says Morrison isn't Crash Holly, Raven, Tommy Dreamer, etc. I hope not. I hope Morrison has a bit more in the tank than that. Yeah. But
that match he had Raw Truth was decent actually.
Yeah, of course, R-Truth got his tune back. He got that. That was the other one this week that had been a bit Jim Johnston's. R-Truth, What's Up?
Yeah, fuck yeah, he got the music
coming
on.
back. Yeah, finally.
They put guitar on it now to rock him up and make him evil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's all it takes. That's the little device, but he needed it because it was a bit quiet on his entrance. It worked for the first few weeks, but I think as we move on now, there's probably more to be seen. You started us into SmackDown with Cody Rhodes IC champ. We talked about Justin Gabriel as a babyface. The one other thing I'd stick in there, which I said before, was he is a Rick the Model Martel. I mean, he's the young Martel, the work rate, the look, the size. Push him if you like, but use the talent, use the skill. Don't maybe make it a kind of a Evan Bourne deal where basically he jobs to everybody. If he's going to be a
he
top
was doing well
babyface.
for a while. I was liking what he was doing, Evan Bourne. I think he's going to end up in a team of with Kofi going forward by the looks of things.
Here's an idea. We'll wrap it up on YouTube and say good night or good day wherever you're watching, whatever time. youtube.com/thewrestledope. Join us live Sundays 9 GMT, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on justin.tv/WrestleDope Radio.
Until next week, folks. Keep it sunbathed.